Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to live coverage of Club 100 for the first time in 10 years from Shenington Kart Racing Club. We're here for round 4 of the Sprints Championships for 2018. Myself, Andrew Mather, and Howard Mitchell in the box for you all day for what should be a very intriguing day of racing. Morning, Howard, how are you doing?
I'm really good, thanks, mate. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us here in a very warm and sunny, at the moment at least, Oxfordshire. We're right next to Banbury, and as Andrew says, it's been a good decade or so since Club 100 visited Shenington. And I have to say, Andrew, you and I raced here yesterday in the Club 100 Endurance Series, and I think it's fair to say we fell in love with this place, didn't we? I thoroughly enjoyed going around here. Brilliant circuit, and looking forward to all the action here today.
Fantastic circuit indeed. Second time I've been in, but first time I've trimmed it yesterday. And I think the drivers who are sampling it for the first time today, hopefully, let's keep fingers crossed that the weather conditions stay as they are. They're going to love it. They're going to love this place because it's a real challenge, fast circuit. That's what I took from yesterday. Once we got into dry running, a really fast circuit with a lot of corners that give you the James May fizz, but in karting corner terms of when you get them right, yes. It feels good.
Yep, know exactly what you mean. Morning test session currently running, so don't worry, you haven't missed the start of any of the racing action. We are going out live via the Club 100 Facebook page with your Alpha Live stream, and also on YouTube at the Alpha Live YouTube channel. Don't forget, you can interact with us right here in the box. Leave your comments below the stream.
And we are now live on YouTube as well, so good morning to everybody on YouTube. Welcome to live coverage. Oh no, sorry, we're only live on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Apologies.
We will be eventually live on YouTube, is the point. Right? I believe so. Oh, he's getting things in his ear.
Yes. We're only on Facebook today.
We're only on Facebook today. Sorry.
Wilton Miller on YouTube.
Ah, fair enough.
Don't watch them today.
No, you don't want to.
Hashtag not buy. Watch them later.
Yes.
20 seconds to go in this test session, open test session. I'm just going to have a look at timing, just so we can have a look and see who we think is going to be quick today. Joe Holmes is currently the fastest driver out there, with the only driver under the 52-second barrier. Freddie Fincham second. That's a good start for Freddie. We'll see him in the lights later on this afternoon. Rob Newman third, Mark Ridout fourth, and Steve Brown fifth. So that's an intriguing top 5 there, Howard. Not the usual order.
No, not really what we'd expect, is it? But I suppose there are going to be, excuse me, quite a few drivers who maybe are out there. Although there's a wealth of experience out there in Club 100, it's a fair assumption that there's plenty out there who maybe are new to the circuit this weekend.
We should
so maybe the standard order, not necessarily what you'd expect.
We should explain, because this is the big part today, that Shenington as a circuit is a club circuit. Normally they only have MSA racing here, or owner kart racing, so it's not even like let's say like a Wilton Mill or a Rye House, for example, where if you're really keen and you want to get a bit of lap practice in before Club 100 actually arrive at the circuit, you can go and get a rental kart or something like that and get a bit of an eye in terms of where the corners go. You can't do that here. There's no rental karts here at Shenington, as I say, only a club circuit. So we really are going into unknown territory for a lot of the drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just pin on to that. That meant that yesterday's endurance, it was quite unique to have endurance racing at Shenington, and that was good to be a part of as well. But definitely, yeah, it's one of those circuits that, as you say, Andrew, the drivers are far less likely to have experience on this circuit. And as you say, slight difference in the order there. We'd expect Steve Brown maybe to be slightly closer to the top, leading as he currently does the standings in elites.
Yep.
So yes, going to be an interesting day, I think. I think it's going to be a really good racing. I'm expecting really good things here. but it could also be quite an interesting day from a championship perspective. We're just getting into that, you know, that long haul of the mid-season, where they're slightly closer together. The rounds, you want to string them together nicely.
Let's get through some housekeeping, especially as I reckon we've got some new people with us watching Club 100 for the first time. The morning session, or morning to early afternoon sessions and races, are just the elites and the clubmen. So these are our two invitational classes. Good morning, Chris Simpson. Yes, it is very, very warm in this comments box already. Howard,
I'm going to open the window whilst the cart's on. Yes.
So how these classes will work is the drivers will have 3 heats, all of random grids. So basically you'll have a race start from the front, a race start from the middle, and a race start from the back. Those heats will then determine the grid for the final. So if you do really well in all those 3 heats, you get towards the front of the final. And after that, we'll then have the final, and that decides who wins the round. So that's how.
Right now, though, we are waiting for the first action of the day, which is going to be our first heat. And I'm going to have to remind myself is yellow elite on this one? It's Clubman's. It's Clubman's first. That makes sense. So we'll be waiting then for the start of Heat 1 in the Clubman's for today. Welcome back, everybody, to Shenington. Apologies for some of the technical glitch having this morning. It's been a little bit difficult to get the connection. We are on the top of an hill in the middle of the Oxfordshire countryside, and we've been having some interesting problems getting everything set up and working. So apologies for any technical problems that we're having. But the sun is shining. I have a picture in the box on the screen in front of me, so I think we'll survive. And we are awaiting the start of the action for round 4 of the 2018 Club 100 Sprints Championship. My name is Howard Mitchell, and I'm alongside Andrew Mather in the commentary box. Drivers currently being briefed. by John Viger, who is the man with the plan at Club 100. Kart's currently being fueled. As I say, we're live on the Facebook stream, courtesy of Alpha Live Productions. Like and share as you see fit. Hopefully you will see fit as the day's action gets underway and we're able to bring it to you. And do feel free to leave your comments under the stream. And all being well, through the magic of the technology we've got here, it should all beam through to us in the box and we may be able to display the comments on the screen. So if you're tuning in to support someone in particular today, be sure to like, share, comment, all the usual stuff. It's lovely to have you along. And it's nice as well, I have to say, to see already plenty of people coming out to see, friends and family, coming out to see the action today as spectators. Wilton Mill is our usual stop-off in the middle of the country, in the middle of England. And it still is, very much, a much-loved circuit that we have already visited this year for round 2. But I have to say it's very nice to have another circuit with a central English location. I think it's allowing some friends and family who maybe don't often or don't usually come out to support to do just that. So lovely to see that already today. But for those of you at home, you have your Alpha Live stream. So as we said, or were saying before we had, or whilst we were beginning to have our technical glitches, so I'll go over it again. There are 4 classes racing today, as is standard in the Club 100 sprints. We've got the Clubmans and the Elites, and we've got the lightweights and the heavyweights. And just as I'm saying that, there are spots of rain appearing on the window of the commentary box. So this may be about to get very interesting.
All I have to say to that is excellent.
Well, it's only fair, isn't it? Right?
It's
When we were racing here yesterday,
yep.
Wet start, wasn't it?
It was.
And a bit of rain. It took a while for the track to dry out. These guys can't just have a dry track right from the off. What's more, they can't expect to go out for a test session and have exactly the same conditions as what they go out in 20 minutes later. That's just that's practically cheating. I have to say at the moment it's not actually that heavy. In fact, it was just spitting, and if I stick my arm out the window, it's not getting any rain on it now. So that may have just been a passing shower, but it's not too dissimilar to yesterday here, was it, mate?
It was just doing this all of yesterday, even into, I mean, we've mentioned the big thunderstorm that came through from the southeast last night and seems to have woken up everyone in England at some point during the night. But it was doing this in the afternoon as well, just as I was leaving the circuit at about, about 7 o'clock yesterday evening. You had this bizarre thing that I think this area of the world likes to do. We're not that far from Silverstone, after all, where we were driving along, blazing sunshine, but there was definitely a lot of rain falling out of the sky. So this is good. This is why I'm so excited about today, because the weather, not just new circuit for a lot of drivers, but the weather is going to play havoc with how the drivers prepare for these races. There's going to be drivers who are stronger in the wet, who might come forward, especially this afternoon in the lights and the heavies. So mix all of that together and you've got a very, very intriguing set of circumstances. Drivers briefing going on at the moment.
Yep, absolutely.
So drivers just being briefed, especially around here. What I found yesterday, Howard, is one of the things I like about Shenington is there are opportunities to overtake. It's not like certain other circuits where, because it's so close, inevitably drivers get frustrated and then some of them send a bit of a do-or-die move and it comes off not going particularly well. That shouldn't be the case here, because you've got a number of overtaking opportunities, especially down into the corner called Wilkins, which is by Marshall Post 9. So this is towards the end of the circuit as you come through the chicane. We'll talk about the chicane later on as well. But the ideal racing line for it is to go very, very wide on entry and a very late apex, because you want to straighten yourself up for The last corner then takes you out into the pit straight. However, it means you leave a huge gap that you could probably drive about 3 double-decker buses down the inside of, never mind one. It's a great overtaking opportunity. So I can expect to see today drivers really going for the overtakes. There's going to be a lot of back and forth today.
Yes.
Which should make for some fantastic racing. That's not the only opportunity to overtake, of course. I mentioned the run onto the pit straight. If you can get an overlap on someone into the pit straight, you can then get them into turn 1, which is Park Bend. That's another overtaking opportunity. We've got the hairpin.
Yes.
That's just your classic big braking zone, get down the inside and do a block pass kind of thing. That's a good overtaking opportunity. And again, if someone gets things a little bit wrong through the hairpin, you can then get them down the back straight into the chicane. Now, the chicane, you've got to be pretty brave. You've got to be very bold. It's tight through there.
Yeah, but it is possible.
But it is possible.
I liken it to the hook at Landau.
Yes.
Well, that's the way I've been describing it to people. You can execute a pass into there if you hook it up right, and as you say, Andrew, if you get a good run off of the hairpin. So definitely the opportunity's out there.
And as we mentioned it, I'm going to have my little chat about the chicane. The chicane is one of my new favourite corners in the country now, because it's one of those that when you get it right, it really satisfying.
Yeah.
The crucial thing I found yesterday was don't go all out on the way in, because if you go, in fact, you know what it's almost a bit like. Now, I've never driven around in real life. Well, I have actually, but not at racing speed. I've never driven in real life around Le Mans, but it's almost like one of the Mulsanne chicanes that you don't want to go all in there on the entry because you've got a good long straight after it. The crucial thing is you exit from the corner. So you can then set somebody up for, as I said, Wilkins a little bit later in the lap. So there was a very particular line I found in the wet yesterday where if you got it stopped and slowed, yeah, it might meant you were a little bit vulnerable on the way in, but you could then get a good exit out to set someone up for later in the lap. The thing I haven't mentioned so far, though, the curbs, or the small walls as I'm calling them now, because most of the tracks we go to, arrive and drive circuits, tend to have flatter curbs. The prime reason is rental carts like to get destroyed on curbs, so you've seen it a lot recently that circuits flattening their curbs to basically for commercial and safety reasons to save their carts. Fair enough. Here, no rental carts. It just does MSA racing, apart from when Club 100 turns up. Now there are some very, very strict rules in place today.
Yes.
Which are absolutely justified. JV doesn't want his carts wrecking on this great circuit, so the drivers have been told, you ride the curbs. I mean, we've talked before about, say, if any of our viewers watch the BUKC finals at Clay Pigeon, JV Sausage. Oh no, I've mentioned it again. The sausage curb, which if you kind of skated along with the bottom of the cart, it was an instant black flag. Let's just say you probably might not be able to tell from the camera pictures today. To be honest, I didn't even notice it from the cart that much until I actually went and walked out on the circuit at the end of the day. The curbs through chicane are twice as big as those infamous sausages at Landau and Clay Pigeon. Yeah. So basically, it's don't touch them. Yeah. Because if anything, never mind the penalties, you are going to damage the carts.
You're going to damage yourself.
You're going to damage yourself.
I mean, we always talk about the carts, but I would not like to have messed that up yesterday.
Yeah.
When driving this track, because my back would not have thanked me at all.
As I say, this is not Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. This is Club 100, and those curbs are nasty. Yeah. But people are going to get caught out.
And people also need to be careful on the exit of hairpin and the exit of the chicane, because those two, again, difficult to sort of notice from the car unless you get forced out there. Yeah. If you start to straddle that curve, you will start to ride it on the sprocket at the back of the car. Yeah,
those ones are more akin to what we've seen before at Clay Pigeon and Landau. So Club 100 drivers know all about those. So they'll treat those with the same level of respect. You can probably put your wheels on them.
Oh yeah,
you can put your left wheels on them, but you can't step over them because then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting ready for Clubman Heats 1. You can tell that because if you know the drivers really well, they're the Clubman drivers, but also the yellow number plates with the black numbering, that denotes the Clubman class. This class currently led in the points by Steve Jennings, with Stefan Scully in second place and John Watkins in third. And we've got some support coming in for John Watkins, so hopefully if I press that, we're going to get some messages on the screen. There we go. So, hello, Paul.
And to wrap it up, John starts on pole position for this first race. So, if in the midst of the technical difficulties this morning this was missed, apologies, the first 3 heats are all random grids. So you basically, if you're a driver in either the elites or the clubmans, you'll have a race where you start pretty much at the front, a race where you pretty much start in the middle, and a race where you pretty much start towards the back. So hopefully for John, he can get a good start to his day and convert this pole position into some good points. Should mention as well, heat races there are drop scores, but can, if you do well enough, count for championship points. So every race is crucial in these elites and clubman classes.
Yep, absolutely. The championship battle is all of the way through in these clubman and elite classes, and there is a certain art as well to random grids.
Yes.
As well, which makes it interesting.
Let's just run through the grid just to get that piece of housekeeping out of the way. As I say, John Watkins starts in pole position, Stuart Osborne is second, Andrew Dawson third, Simon Lloyd fourth, Steve Jennings and Mark Ridout on row 3, Tim Hill and James Martin on row 4, Dave Whitehouse and Chris Powell on row 5, Frankie Hedges and Luke Hornsby. First time we've seen Luke in the comms box since this year, good to see him back. On row 12, Henry Jackson and Mike Townley on row 7, William Top and Martin Theodoru on row 8, James Taylor and Stefan Scully on row 9.
Absolutely. So just waiting for these drivers to go out. The rain that I mentioned earlier has all but disappeared, basically, at this point. Oh, that's what we like to hear. JV putting the announcement. Share the live stream. We couldn't agree more.
We should say that to our viewers as well. If you can support us by sharing the live stream on Facebook, that would be very, very well appreciated. We should also say as well that Alpha Live are up for an award for the second year running in the Global Streaming Awards. So www.streamingawards.com, I believe it is.
Yep.
The nomination is for the work on the British Universities Karting Championship. So head across to the Alpha Live Facebook page for details on that. We'll probably share it as well once we get a chance on our Facebook page, which is _Motorsport Media. That's me and Howard. So please, please, please support us on that one as well. They're doing very, very well at Alpha Live, and we reckon if everybody who watches the stream today goes across and votes, could win it. Could win it. So we need your support on that one. So, Kart's heading out for the start of this first race of the day. All of these drivers must weigh up to 88 kilograms. I don't know if we've mentioned that yet. So, this is what happens once drivers... You get a mix of drivers who've done well in lights and heavies stepping up to the clubmans. So, obviously, we have to put a bit of mass on those lightweight drivers to make it even. It's 88 kilos. This one.
Great to see some people already commenting below the stream. Chris James says it's dry, but for how long? Yep, that's a very valid question.
Very good question.
The rain that we were talking about, the spits of rain that we had on the comms box window are already a thing of the past, and already the circuit. Well, the circuit didn't get wet, basically. It wasn't enough to dampen the circuit at all. And now the sun's back out, and Andrew and I can both confirm that it's still quite warm as the comms box. I hope everyone realises that when the engines get away, we have to shut all windows. This is going to be an interesting day for us from that perspective. But yeah, will it stay dry? It's a very good question. Mr. Mather is keeping his eye, as ever, on the weather radar.
Weather watch is on the go. We've been lucky this morning, really lucky. I'm just looking at some weather that's passing away. Looks like Birmingham and Coventry's been hit by a goodly storm. That's good. I I can say now, we're both Wellington where we live. Gloucester's been hit as well. So we're slap bang in the middle of a corridor of clear weather. Whether that stays the same for the rest of the day, I don't know. There are some showers. This is all coming from the southeast. So it's all coming from London town. There are a few showers on the way, but nothing big and stormy. Here's a grid.
Indeed, so it was John Watkins and Stuart Osborne on the front row. Andrew Dawson and Simon Lloyd on row 2. Stephen Jennings and Mark Ridout on row 3. Tim Hill and James Martin row 4. David Whitehouse and Christopher Powell round out the top 10. Frankie Hedges and Luke Hornsby are on row 6. Row 7 will be Henry Jackson and Mike Townley. William Topp and Martin Theodoru will be on row 8. And row 9 will be James Taylor and Stefan Scully. And that just coming on the screen for you now.
Good morning, Christian. Yeah, Christian Stanton. Back in stream this, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you to everybody already who's active on the comments below. Mark Darville commenting to wish good luck to Harrison Darville in the elites, which we'll see in a moment. Lee Nicholson, good luck to Joe Holmes. Adam Wielden being wished good luck later on in the lightweights today. Good looking for coming in for Simon Lloyd from James Dinmore. Mark Darville watching from Spain, so we're now officially an international broadcast. No, thank you to everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. We love being able to bring you this coverage, and we're finally just about getting ready here for the first of the racing action.
Yeah, this has just been practice laps. This is drivers just checking over their karts, randomly given karts. So drivers given the opportunity just to test them out, just to see how they are before we get racing. Just wanted to mention, Howard, before we get going here today, a driver that I've spotted there on the line of performance, and I'm very interested to see how he gets on today. Henry Jackson, our reigning BUKC heavyweight individual drivers champion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I should know this. I should have done my homework beforehand, but this has got to be one of his first appearances in Club 100 action in terms of the Open National Championships, not just the student-based championship.
I will double check. I think you make a very good point though, because it's not a name I'm used to. Yeah, just have a look.
Obviously, we're very used to him in the BUKC. And yeah, we'll be very interested to see how he gets along today.
Yeah, I don't have him down on the championship table for the Clubman's class.
There he is, number 24, just passing through your screen.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see how he gets on for certain. I'm going to start putting up some of these good luck messages whilst the drivers are just doing their warm-up laps.
So all of the heats, so that's the first 3 heats in each class, are all 8 minutes. So we'll count down 8 minutes. When the clock stops, the lap that the drivers are on will be the last lap. There is the checkered flag for practice of 5 laps. So the grid will now start to form up for this first race of the morning here at Shenington for round 4 of the Club 100 Sprints Championships. It's our Clubmans kicking things off this morning. Good to see the turnout here supporting Club 100's first visit to Shenington in many a year. There's Henry Jackson. As we mentioned, good to see him here. His distinctive green and white suit. If you're new to Club 100, don't worry, that cone will not be there for the full race. That's just for the start procedure to make sure that the drivers stay in their, well, there's not actually tram lines here, but stay on their respective sides of the grid on the race start. That cone will get removed once we actually get racing. But as we say, it's John Watkins in the number 33, starting from pole position alongside Stuart Osborne, the number 7. Row 2, Andrew Dawson, the number 15, and the number 18 of Simon Lloyd. Stephen Jennings, championship leader in the number 14, followed by Mark Ridout in the number 1. 26, Tim Hill, starts on row 4 alongside James Martin on row 2. There's number 29 of James Taylor. I'll be interested to see how he gets along today. So he starts from the back of the grid in 17th in this first heat of the day. And it looks like we're good for a go, and we are racing here at Shenington for the first time. Good start for Watkins into turn 1. I think he has retained the lead as they come through turn 2, and yes, indeed he has. The rest of them now filing through the very fast left-hander, which is Pittsbend, and down towards the hairpin for the first time. So yes, it is the 33. The 15's had a good start. That is Andrew Dawson, so he's already up to second place, Howard.
Yep, really good start there as they work their way through the chicane now and onto the back straight towards Hanger Corner and Wilkins. This fast right-hander.
There's David Whitehouse. Oh, look, he's taken my advice. Straight up the inside of Tim Hill. I had a little chat with David earlier. Said, look for Wilkins. Good overtaking opportunity. Straight up the inside goes David. But look at this. Battle for the lead straight away. John Watkins and Andrew Dawson. So Dawson looking very racy at this stage of proceedings as we're on to lap 2 now. Going through Pittsbend, then down the Stratford straight and towards Stratford Corner, which is a hairpin. We're running the shorter version of Shenington, so not the gearbox layout, although you may see drivers shooting down the gearbox layout, which is basically an extension of the straight. There's James Martin having a battle there in the number 3. Mark Ridout not too far behind him as well. You may see drivers go straight on, but actually let's concentrate on this battle. Mark Ridout trying to force out James Martin. I don't think there's actually much wrong there with what Mark Ridout did there. He had the line on the inside and goes through there. I reckon that is for 9th place.
Yes, there's 8th place indeed. It's now Ridout in 8th, James Martin 9th, Simon Lloyd 10th, and then Martin Theodoru almost going 3 abreast there into the latter part of the lap, Andrew. Really good stuff this in the early stages of the Clubman's action for today. John Watkins, though, just set the fastest lap of the race, 53.051, as he tries to break the toe of Andrew Dawson, but I'm not sure he's going to get away with it. Oh, and that's an opportunistic look from Luke Hornsby there.
Yeah, he's battling with Henry Jackson. So good start from him. I'm just trying to. That is Simon Lloyd, isn't it? Ahead of him, just getting past Martin Theodoru. So it's all going on in the early stages of the Clubman's. Now here's the opportunity to overtake, and there goes Ridout down the inside. Textbook manoeuvre. Just does the block pass down the inside. Really nice move that on Frankie Hedges for 7th place.
Yeah, and then James Martin was trying to capitalise on that as well, but couldn't quite make it happen. And look at this.
Simon Lloyd.
That is indeed Simon Lloyd now trying to get past James Martin, and I think he may have done the job just looking out of the window.
So it's John Watkins leading from Andrew Dawson. Steve Jennings, championship leader, in 3rd there in the red and white and the red helmet. Then David Whitehouse, really solid start for David in 4th place. Tim Hill. Did I just spot that Tim Hill has got past Stuart Osborne for 5th? And here's the challenge for the lead. Dawson going to the inside. Will he cut to the inside? No, Watkins is going to hold down the inside into Wilkins. That's the way to defend. Just needs to make sure that he's not going to be vulnerable as they come onto Park Straight to start a new lap. Watkins goes defensive again into Park Bend. Fantastic corner flat out, then immediately transfer the weight through the right-hander of Cafe Corner, through Pitts Bend now, which is a flat left-hander, then heavy braking here for the Stratford Corner. This is the hairpin. Mind the sausage curb on the outside, that's fine, just putting the left wheels on them is fine. Into the Bruno chicane, a real challenge for the drivers. Right, then left, then right, then onto the hanger straight. And here we're really building speed. Now this is where Dawson will be getting a bit of a slipstream. Can he get it down the inside into Wilkins. No, not this time. So these two at the moment, Howard, I think they're working together. They're just trying to get away from Steve Jennings there in third.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Dawson is just biding his time. If the opportunity arises, don't think for a moment he won't take it.
There it
in fact,
is.
he's going to try it as they go into two. They're side by side coming through pits, coming towards Pitts Bend now. Watkins will have the inside line for the next corner, but can Dawson hold on to have an opportunity into the hairpin? No, he can't. He now goes to the outside, but there's nothing on there. Will he get a cutback out of the hairpin? I don't think he's done a shallow enough line on exit to have that as they head towards the chicane. It's as you were, but that was a very, very earnest attempt there from Andrew Dawson for the lead of the race.
And this is what I love about Shenington, that you can do that and you can race side by side. And Dawson's definitely quicker at this stage of the race. Oh, Watkins has gone deep. That's the mistake that he didn't need to make, and Dawson might get the run here. He's going to have to go round the outside, round Park Bend, and he's done it. Great work there by Dawson, and he's through and into the lead.
And that battling has allowed Jennings to get right onto the back of these two as well. So look now for him trying to cash in, and don't forget that he's brought everybody with him to the party as well.
Now John Watkins won't give this one. He's up the inside into the hairpin. He's through. Now can he get the move done, or is the switchback going to be on for Dawson? Yes, I think it is. They're going to go into the Bruno chicane side by side. My goodness. Oh! Round the outside. John Watkins. What a manoeuvre that was. That was brave, Howard.
Absolutely, and as you were saying, Andrew, look at how good this place is for dogfights. We're seeing it already, and now Jennings is having a look at Dawson for second, but Dawson's still got his eyes on the prize. Up the inside at Wilkins. He's got it done. Now that's going to leave Watkins exposed to Jennings as well.
And Whitehouse.
Whitehouse is there, and Tim Hill as well. Look at this, Andrew. Trying to go forward abreast across the start-finish line into Park Bend on the new lap.
Great opportunistic driving by David Whitehouse. Up into second place now. Yeah. And Tim Hill as well has followed through into third, so it's the experienced heads of Whitehouse and Hill coming to the fore here. And is Hill looking down the inside? Yes, he is for second place. Great move by Tim Hill down the inside. But can he get it stuck on the exit? It's going to be side by side between him and Whitehouse. But yes, Tim Hill up to second place.
It's Dawson, Hill, Whitehouse, Watkins and Jennings. All change across the top five here. And Mark Ridout now is right on the tail of Jennings as well. This is fantastic stuff, Andrew, as Jennings thinks about going up the inside. Yes, he does. He's up the inside there of Watkins, and he's got the job done. Nice and clean manoeuvre there. Watkins has lost out the last couple of laps into that corner, Andrew.
And Mark Ridout starting to close in as well in the number one. Stuart Osborne's lost a couple of positions on that last lap as well. We'll keep an eye on that. But this battle up at the front.
And Simon Lloyd.
Six-way battle for the lead.
Yeah, I was going to say it is six-way. Simon Lloyd is, in fact, it's a seven-way, Andrew, because Simon Lloyd is right with Mark Ridout as well at the back of this. So this is superb stuff. Nose to tail.
Lap.
Whitehouse, oh gosh, yes, already. And Jennings having a look at Whitehouse, but Watkins is there as well. Can he try again around the outside? Oh my goodness me, and he's got the job done, hasn't he? That's a change of position there. Watkins past Jennings now.
Tim Hill looking for the lead. We're going into the Wilkins for the last time. This might even be a drag race to the line, you never know. But Andrew Dawson will go defensive into Wilkins. Round Wilkins they go. It is going to be a drag race to the line. Can Tim Hill get the overspeed? He's going to look to the inside. My goodness me, look at this. And over the line is Dawson. Wow, what a start to the day here at Shenington. Andrew Dawson wins Heat 1 in Clubman. Tim Hill second. David Whitehouse third. John Watkins fourth. Stephen Jennings fifth. Mark Ridout sixth. Seventh for Simon Lloyd. Eighth for Martin Theodorou. Ninth for Henry Jackson on his Club 100 Clubman's debut. 10th for Stuart Osborne. 11th James Martin. 12th Luke Hornsby. 13th Stefan Scully. 14th William Top. 15th Frankie Hedges. 16th Mike Townley. 17th James Taylor. And 18th Chris Powell. Oh dear, we're going to have a hard day, mate, if every race is like that.
Yes, just a bit, are we? But my goodness, will it be worth it? Well, yesterday I fell in love with this place driving it. Today I'm falling in love commentating on it, because that was absolutely a cracking way to start the action for the day. You really couldn't put any money down on who was going to win that at any point, actually. And that was, and I say this for want of a much, much better phrase, that was just the Clubmans. We've got the, the next tier up next. As I say, I use the word just, though. very much for want of a better phrase. But what an amazing, I agree with Graham Gamble on Facebook. What a race, absolutely. What a way to start the day's action.
We're going to take a short break here on comms and be back shortly for Elite Heat 1.
Okay, copy that. We'll keep as we are. Ready, mate?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh. Welcome back to Shenington then. And now we're going to go into the first heat of the day for the Premier class. As I say, this, the creme de la creme of Club 100 sprint racing you're about to see, as if what we just saw didn't qualify for that kind of title. Thank you to all of you joining us for your Alpha Live Productions live stream with myself, Howard Mitchell, and Andrew Mather doing the commentary duties. Together we are Double Dash Motorsport Media, so feel free to check us out as well as the Alpha Live boys. And we're going into the Elite Sprint Heat 1, and here is your grid. We're going to have Peter O'Connor starting this one on pole with Dan Healy alongside. Stephen Hicks will start third on the grid with Harrison Darville alongside on the second row. Row 3 is going to see Ben Yarwood start in the number 24 with the number 18 of Adam Wright alongside him. Harry Neal starts this one from 7th in the number 11, and then it's the number 10 of Jonathan Lissitter. On row 5 we're going to have David Longman. He's in the number 20, and the number 9 of Ed Bars rounds out the top 10. Row 6 is going to be Chris Dixon, and he's going to be piloting the number 15 kart, and then it will be the number 2 of Ian Blake starting alongside in 12th. The 7th row of the grid will be Peter Harris. He's driving the number 13 kart, and then it will be the number 3 of Steve Brown.
We back? We are back. Apologies, folks, for the technical difficulties. We are now back in a different comms box.
A very different comms box.
And we are into Clubman Heat 2. I'll be honest, I completely missed Elite Heat 1, but never mind. Chris Powell is leading this one at the moment. Luke Hornsby in second, Will Top third. James Taylor there looking for third place as they go into the Bruno chicane. And Taylor is up the inside. Great move that by Taylor, and is indeed up to third place.
Yeah, we did have some incidents a lap ago. Stuart Osborne, Martin
21
Theodoru
coming through, and 3, all past number 19. Sorry, Howard.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Stuart Osborne, Martin Theodoru and Frankie Hedges were all involved in an incident up at the hairpin on the last lap, so it's all gone pear-shaped for them, I'm afraid.
But it's this battle in from about 4th place down, with the championship leader, Stephen Jennings, right in the middle of it. Henry Jackson in there as well in the green and white. Tim Hill, who got 2nd place in the first heat, is in there as well. Meanwhile, back at the front, Luke Hornsby and James Taylor fighting over 2nd place, with Chris Powell still in the lead. I think that was 3 wide going into the Bruno chicane as they flash past us here. This is great racing from the Clubmans. We saw it in Heat 1. Here they are again in Heat 2 now. Taylor battling with Stefan Scully. Stefan Scully go down the inside into Wilkins. Bit of pod-to-pod contact there. And that was a good move there for me, Howard, by Stefan Scully.
Yeah, absolutely. Scully has an opportunity here, Andrew.
Let's have, I think we're getting a replay possibly on that one. Here we go, down the inside into Wilkins, holding the line. Taylor's trying to chop back in, but nowhere for him to go. Stefan Scully up to 3rd place.
Yeah, and Scully can capitalise here, Andrew, because with
battle for 7th place going on. This is Jennings, Hill, Jackson, Andy Dawson in there as well. 21 now trying to get through past 5. That's Scully past Hornsby into 2nd place.
Yeah, I was going to say, Scully can capitalise here because Stephen Jennings is perhaps a little further down than he'd like to be. So if Scully can do some damage here, obviously championship permutations or championship standings quite close between those two drivers as Hornsby.
Oh, contact between Taylor and I think that was Mike Townley. And yes, Townley is off.
And it's allowed William Top through.
And don't worry about the 33. That's John Watkins a lap down doing exactly what he should and just keeping out of the way. That's good driving by John. But there was contact there between Taylor and Townley coming through the final corner.
Yeah, it's definitely not been as clean a heat, this one, in the Clubman's class.
And a penalty for the number 24, which is Henry Jackson. That's involved. That's all in that battle around 10th place. So that's pretty much the end of things for his race. Stephen Jennings starting to pull his way through there. You can see him now fighting with Mike Townley. Gives Mike Townley the point to go ahead. Now will Jennings try and work together with Townley.
Townley goes very defensively into Wilkins, Andrew. He doesn't want to give this up easily, and he's going to hold on to it, but Jennings is going to have a better run out the corner. Going to try around the outside, is he?
That's brave. 3-way just behind them between Whitehouse, Hill and Lloyd. And change for the lead. Stefan Scully is through. He's passed Chris Powell in the number 4. So Stefan Scully, Howard, to the front of the field.
And Jennings is past Townley, although Townley is going to try and fight back into the hairpin as well. But yeah, eyes on the front at the moment, as you say, Andrew. Scully to the front of this one, ahead of Powell.
Still 3rd place, Luke Hornsby in the distinctive Union flag suit, ahead of James Taylor in 4th place now. And Chris Powell having a look, trying to fight back on Stefan Scully in the 21. Curb warning in for the number 15 of Andy Dawson. Cutting back to the battle for 4th place now. Here's William Top now trying to get back past James Taylor. Oh, look at this, down the pit straight. Powell having a little look there at Stefan Scully, getting all over the curb. Scully holds on to it.
And Taylor's passed Hornsby for 3rd place behind them, Andrew.
Indeed, yes he has. And I'm just keeping an eye on Jennings because he's not totally out of this one with 2.5 minutes plus the lap on which they are when they get to 0. Not out of this one.
No, not at all. So it's Stefan Scully leading, Christopher Powell 2nd. James Taylor third, William top fourth, and then it is William top fifth with James Taylor in fourth and Luke Hornsby in third.
Hornsby's going to have to go defensive again.
Yeah, he is.
And this is good news for Jennings, as he really has closed in now on William Top in the 19 and Luke Hornsby. Hornsby goes defensive again. William Top's trying to go down the inside into Park Bend.
Look out for Jennings capitalising on this battle. I got my order completely mixed up, didn't I? So it's Scully, Powell, Taylor, then the battle we're looking at now, Hornsby, Top and Jennings. And you can see, Andrew, James Taylor is really working hard to get onto terms with the top two here, ahead of this fight that we're currently looking at on screen.
Change behind, I saw he scored a time. And look at Jennings coming round the outside. What a run he got. Oh, he's through again.
Brilliant stuff.
I'm loving these moves into Bruno chicane. And for the second time today, we've seen somebody do that. Meanwhile, back with the leaders, Powell still has not given this one up. Stefan Scully under a lot of pressure. As we come around, there's going to be 2 more laps, I reckon.
And then look at this
one.
Look at this battle, now led by Jennings over fourth place. Managed to get up 2 places in that lap, Andrew. And now look at the pressure that Powell is putting on. William Top, trying to make a move on Luke Hornsby as well further back. The lead stays with Scully out of the first 2 corners as they head toward the hairpin. James Taylor is right with them now, though, Andrew. This is going to turn into a 3-kart battle for the lead, going on to the final lap and a half of this one.
And we know how brave James Taylor is. He will go for a move. Oh, very wide there was Mike Townley out of the hairpin. But James Taylor really starting to apply the pressure now onto Chris Powell for second place. Stefan Scully still there in the lead, and this would be crucial points for his championship if he could bring it home. There's the championship leader in the red, Stephen Jennings. Now looks like David Whitehouse is having a look to get past Mike Townley. That's all over 7th place. As we now head on to what should be the final lap, and there's the move for second place. Through goes James Taylor.
It's not the final lap, Andrew, or at least it's not being shown as such on timing, so it's going to be this and one other for this lead battle.
Stefan Scully leads. James Taylor now up to second place. Chris Powell still there in third, and this has been a really strong race still from Chris, who moved up from lightweights 2 years ago, so this is his second season in Clubman's. This is the last lap then, so Stefan Scully has just got a couple more corners to go. He'll probably go defensive into Wilkins to block off any kind of move from James Taylor.
Indeed he does, but Taylor may get a better run out the corner, so it could be a drag to the line if Taylor can find the room.
He's got it. Stefan Scully is going to take Heat 2 in Clubman's here at Shenington today. A fantastic victory. James Taylor will take second place. Chris Powell converts a front of the grid slot into third place. Fourth place for Stephen Jennings. Fifth place for Luke Hornsby. Sixth place for William Top. Seventh for David Whitehouse. Eighth for Simon Lloyd. Ninth was Mike Townley. 10th was Henry Jackson, but we know he's got a penalty. 11th place for Tim Hill. 12th place for Mark Ridout. 13th place for Stuart Osborne. 14th James Martin. 15th Martin Theodoru. 16th Andy Dawson. 17th Frankie Hedges. And 18th in the lap down after issues on lap 1 for John Watkins.
Well, it wasn't without incident, that heat. But nevertheless, it was highly entertaining. We'll be back in a moment here at Shenington.
Welcome back, everybody, to live coverage of Club 100 2018, live here from Shenington Kart Racing Club for round 4 of our Sprint Championships. We're on to Elite Heat Sprint 2. Apologies for the technical issues earlier that meant we couldn't bring you commentary for Heat 1. We'll get you up to speed with the result on that one in a moment. Let's just go through the grid then for Heat 2. Chris Dixon starts from pole position alongside former champion Ian Blake. Peter Harris and Steve Brown are on row 2. Then it's Dan Truman and Rob Newman on row 3. Rob Moore and Jay Elliott start on row 4. Did I say row 3 before? I think I did. Dan Truman and Row Newman on row 3. Rob Newman and Jay Elliott on row 4. Joe Holmes and Peter O'Connor on row 5. Daniel Healy and Steve Hicks on row 6. Harrison Darville and Ben Yarwood on row 7. Adam Wright and Harry Neal on row 8. Jonathan Lister and Dave Longman on row 9. And then Ed Bars by himself on row 10. Howard, I'll pass that back to you to get a Heat 1 result. Drivers forming straight up into their positions in this one. No practice laps in this one. They're all up to speed now with which way the circuit goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to quickly cover the results of Elite Heat 1, which we unfortunately weren't able to bring you on the live stream. Daniel Healy took the win with that one ahead of Ed Bars, David Longman, Stephen Hicks, Peter O'Connor. Ian Blake was 6th, Jay Elliott 7th, Harry Neal 8th, 9th was Steve Brown, and 10th was Joe Holmes. That was the top 10 for that one. A few penalties in that one as well, so they'll be wanting to keep it a bit cleaner this time, Andrew.
They will indeed. And we are green and racing then for Elite Sprint Heat 2 as they all dive into turn 1. And it looks like Chris Dixon is going to hold on to the lead as they go through Cafe Corner and then into Pit Bend. Good start for Rob Newman. I can see he's already up to 4th place there in the distinctive orange helmet, the former BUKC Drivers' Champion, but it's Dixon leading then. And look at Steve Brown trying to go around the outside there in the number 3.
Yep.
Oh, they're all running wide and over the sausage.
Yeah,
I think they're about 4 wide coming into Bruno chicane.
Absolutely, Brown's going to be vulnerable to Newman into the chicane, but he's managed to hold on to it round the outside as they go through the Bruno chicane for the first time and onto the back straight. Peter Harris was one of those going wide out of the hairpin, but he's managed to hold on to it. Looked like his 5th challenge by Blake. On Dixon at the front here. But Dixon just about manages to hold on as they come round to complete lap 1. It's going to be Chris Dixon ahead of Ian Blake, Steve Brown, Rob Newman, Peter Harris, Jay Elliott, Dan Truman, Joe Holmes, Peter O'Connor and Dan Healy to round out the top 10 as there's a change, as you say, Andrew. Blake to the front, and look out for Steve Brown as well. He's trying to go around the outside at Pit Bend. He's going to have the inside line for the hairpin, and Newman's going to try and follow through as well on this. Dixon may drop all the way down to 4th at this rate. Steve Brown's got him, and he's also thinking about going for the lead, but Dixon's now got Rob Newman challenging him, and Newman's going to get it. Dixon down to 4th. It's now Ian Blake, Steve Brown, Rob Newman and Chris Dixon at the front, and this has allowed Peter Harris to get right onto the back of them as well in the number 13.
So Ian Blake to the front then. Now this would be a big victory if he could hold on to it, but there is championship leader Steve Brown right there. Look at them all coming through. Let's just check what the field spread is on the end of lap 2 as there's a battle continuing on for the lead. Blake scored now as the leader officially ahead of Brown. The field's covered by 4 seconds, Howard, after 2 laps.
Yeah, 3.8 seconds covers your entire 19 kart field here in Heat 2 of the Elite Sprint.
Penalty for the number 18. I think that's Adam Wright, isn't it? Yes, it is. So that's bad news for him.
And in a heat like this, Andrew, that's expensive. That's it. Anyway, Ian Blake leads them into the chicane. We're looking here at Peter Harris now pressuring Chris Dixon. And look at this challenge for the lead. Steve Brown has got the inside, has he? On Ian Blake's going to defend hard, but Brown will have the inside into Wilkins, and look out for Rob Newman trying to go through as well. He does follow him through. So Steve Brown to the front, Rob Newman 2nd, and now Ian Blake goes down to 3rd. Chris Dixon still behind him.
So it's championship leaders. We've got a replay now. We'll see here that Brown gets an overlap, and he's going to take a big cloud to curb, but for me, he was squeezed onto that by Ian Blake. and then he just holds it down the inside. But look at Rob Newman. Rob Newman just follows Brown's tracks there and goes, yes, I'm having that, and up to second place he goes.
Yeah, I think that's as firm yet fair as you could possibly get between those two drivers, both in terms of defence from Blake.
Change for the lead,
for
Newman
Brown,
to the
but Newman
front.
to the front. Indeed, up at the hairpin it's happened. And now Newman leads with Steve Brown second, and they're just trying to break away here. There are 3 karts behind them in the battle for third. They're close. There you go. There's Blake, Dixon, and Peter Harris, and then everybody else, of course.
Ed Barr's losing a position there. I think that was to Daniel Healy.
Joe Holmes has been a man on the move throughout this one, Andrew. He's been steadily picking off drivers in the lower part of the top 10, bringing himself into play, currently running 7th in the number 1 kart. There he is, now on the tail of Dan Truman. But Rob Newman indeed it is, but Steve Brown does not look like he's going to take that one sitting down.
Of the inside, Jay Elliott in the number 8, scrapping now with Daniel Healy. Back with the leaders now, so it's the Baby Prem leader, Rob Newman, in his first year of Premiers, leading here at Shenington ahead of the overall championship leader and former champion Steve Brown. Three-way dice there, and through goes, that's Truman, isn't
Truman,
it?
yeah. So Truman's managed to get past
Peter Harris, but
yes,
Peter Harris is fighting back.
Yeah, and Joe Holmes as well, trying to follow through here in the number 1. Side by side through turns 1, and he has followed through as well. So that makes it now Truman, Holmes, and then Harris. But Harris is trying to fight back against Joe Holmes. Meanwhile, at the front, all sorts of pressure being put on Rob Newman by Steve Brown. And Ian Blake is there ready to pick up the pieces should it all come to tears. At the back, very wide there goes Ed Bars out of the hairpin.
I think Ed Bars actually made contact with the bank there, which is the first time I've seen that this weekend.
And something's happened there to Peter Harris because he's now in a battle with Peter O'Connor.
He's lost
so
about
he's
4
dropped
positions.
out. Yeah, drama's happening there in the mid-pack.
Healy in there, Jackson in there, Ed Bars trying to go round the outside. If he makes that, that's going to be a remarkable move. Oh, the wall squeeze.
Yeah.
Peter Harris is off.
That was just too many. It tightens up so much there on the exit of that part of the circuit. Look at this. So the number 5 downwards, this is the battle for 8th ultimately. And they're all separated by...
it's about 8 karts covered by 2nd at the moment in the midfield.
It's an impressive experiment into how many karts can you actually fit into a 2nd around Shenington here.
Healy goes very defensive. O'Connor still there in the 6th with Jackson, and who's that? I think that might be Adam Wright trying to come through as well, but we know he's got a penalty. Ed Bars has got back ahead of him. This is all over 8th place.
It is indeed.
Back with the leaders, Rob Newman ahead of Steve Brown, 2 minutes 30 on the clock.
These top 3 have sort of broken away now. You can see the 1.4 second gap back to Chris Dixon, who now, and that's Joe Holmes going past Truman there, I think.
It was.
Yep. So Holmes now up to 5th ahead of Truman, with Jay Elliott also on the scene with them, and then's the gap back to the mad battle for 8th place, currently led by Dan Healy. So you've got the pack of 3 at the front, then this pack of 4 battling over 4th place, as Joe Holmes tries to get the cutback, does he, on Chris Dixon.
Well, he might do, you know.
Oh, and very wide there goes Jay Elliott. That won't help. And then there you can see just behind them is Dan Healy in the 5 leading the battle for every other position possibly available.
Right, just as it all seems to be straightening itself out, no doubt it'll kick off again in a moment. Rob Newman leads as looking down the inside there. Oh, contact between Truman and Elliott.
Yeah, but Truman has gone through. Now, will he let him back through? I think that's sensible driving there, but he's going to have to be a bit careful because he's going to have Dan Healy. He has now caught up to the back of him. But as we look back at the leaders, Rob Newman just has a slight breathing gap now over Steve Brown, as I think it'll be this one and then another in terms of laps.
Talking about laps, Rob Newman has just put in a 52.068. I think that might be the fastest lap we've had so far this weekend.
I agree, I think it very well might be. Look at this, Andrew. This is now the battle for 4th place. The battle for 8th has caught up to the battle for 4th, such that it's anyone's game now from about 4th downwards. These are the leaders, your top 3. They've managed to break away by some 3.5 seconds. And you know what? Blake looks like he's ready to pounce on this final lap, Andrew, as they'll go on to it.
Yep, Ian Blake using all of his experience, another former champion, to keep himself in there. Ed Bars is having a little look there at Henry Jackson a little bit further down the order. And has he made, yes, he has made the move stick. Good move that by Ed Bars. So we are officially now on the last lap. Rob Newman is your leader. Steve Brown second, Ian Blake third. There's your reigning champion, Joe Holmes, in fourth place. Chris Dixon defending for his life now to try and hold on to this fifth
Dan
place.
Truman, but Truman's left himself exposed to Jay Elliott there as well, Andrew, so it's going to all be changed there. Still, as you were amongst the leaders, here they are. Rob Newman is going to try his best to hold on to this one. Steve Brown is right there, but I'm not sure if he's going to be close enough for a challenge into Wilkins, Andrew. So long as Newman can keep this clean, he goes somewhat defensive, slightly shallower line there, but it's going to be Rob Newman, I think, who holds on to this one. And indeed it is. Rob Newman crosses the line. Fantastic win for Newman. Steve Brown and Ian Blake and cross in second and third. Joe Holmes, what a drive he's had up through the field, finishes fourth. And then it's Jay Elliott, Dan Healy in sixth, seventh place for Chris Dixon, Peter O'Connor eighth, Dan Truman finishes ninth, Ed Bars in 10th, and it's Steve Hicks, Adam Wright, Ben Yarwood, David Longman in 14th, 15th for Jonathan Lissitter. Peter Harris is 16th. He may have some interesting opinions on what went on out there, because he was at one point running much higher than that. Harry Neal finishes 17th, 18th for Rob Moore, and Harrison Darville finishes 19th. My goodness me, Andrew, there's a reason why it's called the Elites class.
Yes, couldn't put it better myself. Right, we're going to take a short break. Next up is Clubman Heat 3, which will set the grid for the Clubman Final. Welcome back, everybody, to Shenington for round 4 of the Club 100 2018 Sprints Championships. I'm just going to roll the van window up so you don't hear those carts coming past, and then I'm going to read you a grid. David Whitehouse starts from pole position for this final of the 8-minute heats. Alongside him will be Stefan Scully. Row 2 will be James Martin and James Taylor. Row 3 will be Tim Hill and Martin Theodori. Row 4 will be Mark Ridout and William Topp. Pretty much all of those 8 drivers have had a really, really strong day so far here at Shenington. I think these dry conditions, no sign of the rain yet, going down really, really well. Row 5, to carry on with the grid, will be Stephen Jennings and Mike Townley. So Stephen looking to get a good slot on the grid to continue his strong season, current championship leader, of course. Row 6 is Simon Lloyd and the debutant in Henry Jackson. And he's had a solid start so far today. What can he do here in this one from 12th on the grid? Row 7 is Andrew Dawson, who was up at the front in Heat 1. And Luke Hornsby, always the familiar presence here on a Club 100 grid. Row 8 will be Stuart Osborne and Frankie Hedges. And row 9 will be John Watkins and Chris Powell. Howard.
As Andrew implied with his van window adjustment, we have officially relocated comms. It's the first commentary box I've ever been in that has a horn. But
Steady.
but nevertheless, we were still very glad I think it's safe to say the social media stream, we haven't got that in the box currently. But do please keep liking, sharing, and indeed commenting. There we are! Hello! On tour!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
So that's our new comms box. It's quite nice. We've got armrests in here.
Yeah.
This is fine.
It's comfy, it's light. It's actually cooler than the commentary box that we were in 30 minutes ago. So yes, we are ever flexible here at Double Dash Motorsport Media and Alpha Live, and that is exactly why you should vote for Alpha Live in the Streaming Awards, www.streamingawards.com. Thank you very much. So if you enjoyed the work on the British University's Karting Championship early in the year, do head across to the website and make sure you like at Alpha Live on Facebook and just Facebook. All the details of how to vote we could really do with your support is over there. Meanwhile, there's a race about to start, Howard.
There is indeed. David Whitehouse will lead this one away. There he is in the number 12. And he's got the 21 of Stefan Scully alongside. This, their last chance to determine as good a grid position as they can for themselves into the trophy final. But bear in mind, championship points are also up for grabs in these heats.
So we're ready for the green. Here we go. Final heat for the Clubmans before the final. They've put on 2 stellar performances so far. What will they do here as David Whitehouse takes a great lead into turn 2. Stefan Scully's up the inside and into second place, Howard. But David Whitehouse, using all of his experience, really, really good start.
Yeah, but right away, James Martin is onto the back of Stefan Scully here. He wants to move up to second, and he's going to have the space to give it a go, I think, because there's all sorts of stuff kicking off for 4th place with James Taylor. That looked like he was going very wide there. Not sure if he managed to keep it going. But David Whitehouse has been able to hold on to the lead as he leads them through Bruno chicane for the first time and onto the Hanger Straight. You can see, actually, he's got a bit of a, because of the challenge that Martin has been giving Stefan Scully, it's actually allowed Whitehouse to pull out a bit of a gap here, possibly the largest we've seen so far today across the first lap of one of the heat races. So, dream start in many ways for David Whitehouse as he crosses the line, as there's a penalty for Tim Hill. So it's David Whitehouse, Stefan Scully, James Martin, Tim Hill, but he's just received a penalty in 4th. 5th, Mark Ridout. And then it's Martin Theodoro, James Taylor, Mike Townley, William Top and Luke Hornsby to round out the top 10.
Ridout wide, that's going to leave him very vulnerable to the rest of the pack as the 21 of Stefan Scully and the number 2 of James Martin. James looks a little bit lacking in pace towards the back of the straight. He's looking up the inside now of Scully into the Bruno chicane.
Yeah, James Martin has been able to just put this pressure on Scully right from the lights going out. And he's been relatively unchallenged from behind because of the frantic fighting over 4th place. And there, in turn, fight over second. As I say, it's allowed David Whitehouse, as there's Theodoro up the inside of Ridout, isn't it, into Wilkins. Lovely move there. That's the textbook move into that corner. But Ridout trying to look for a way past. And meanwhile, up the inside goes Martin on Scully, but Scully's going to have the inside line into 2, so he will be able to hold on to second there. And it's allowing Theodoro to get right onto them. And I think Tim Hill has also got past Ridout as well now. So you can see him there in the 26 kart as they all fall through the hairpin. And suddenly this is all closed up for second place, Andrew, or at least 3rd, because now Martin is under all sorts of pressure after an unsuccessful attempt for second at the start of the lap. And Theodoro's managed to get him. He got held up in the chicane there, did Martin. And now Theodoro's got past. And look out for Tim Hill here, trying to do damage limitation, bearing in mind he has a penalty to be applied post-race.
They're all going defensive through Wilkins now. They've all clocked onto the fact that that is the best opportunity to overtake. Mark Ridout now cuts to the inside. Is he going to try and sneak past Tim Hill? Yes, he is.
Oh,
great move that. Tim Hill was actually looking the other way. I think he was more concerned about Mike Townley, and Mark Ridout just drove the shorter line through the circuit and took the position there.
Yeah, well, just like Wilkins, in some ways, Turn 1's racing line does
Oh,
leave you open. It's a nice move
Hornsby.
from Hornsby there to get past Mike Townley. And I think he may have got William Top in the same move as well. But Townley coming back at him and manages to hold his own coming into the Bruno chicane. But yeah, that turn 1 line in a similar sort of way to Wilkins does leave you exposed, but because it's much faster, we see less people converting it into an overtake. You can see how defensive there Scully is going, but he's had a slow drive out of the corner, and it's going to allow Theodoru to get alongside and challenge around the outside into turn 1. He's going to give it a go, and I think,
hold it
side
on the
by
inside.
side, inside for turn 2, and look out for James Martin following him through as well in the number 2 as they go around pit bend. If Martin can hold on around the outside, he's going to have the inside for the hairpin. Ridout and Tim Hill also looking to cash in on this. This is a superb battle here. I tell you what, though, it is allowing David Whitehouse to get away somewhat. There he is in the 12. But this is superb battling, as usual, amongst the entire field pretty much here in the Clubman's class at Shenington.
Clubman's have really put on a show so far today, and we've still got 4 minutes of this third heat of the day to go. Now, will James Martin have a little look down the inside of Scully into Wilkins? No, Scully goes defensive. Will that leave him? Oh, good move that by Henry Jackson down the inside of James Taylor.
Yeah.
And little point there, the infamous point. Ridout's trying to go up the inside again. Look at this, Martin Ridout trying to get both of them through Park Bend, now through Cafe, and onto Pitts Bend. But my goodness me, I thought Mark Ridout was going to make it and challenge for the lead now.
Yep.
It's Martin Theodoru looking down the inside of David Whitehouse into the Stratford corner, and he's through.
Lovely job. Lovely job. Theodoru just set the fastest lap of the race the last time through, a 52.621 to set up that overtaking opportunity, and he was right on the scene and capitalised on it immediately. And I have to say as well, David Whitehouse, I think he was, plenty of respect and racing room there in that battle for the lead there. So fair play to both those drivers. Whitehouse will try and keep it. It was lovely. Look at that. At the last moment there, James Martin launches it up the inside of Stefan Scully, and that's going to allow Mark Ridout now to have a go at Scully as well. Side by side across the line, but it's not going to be on for Ridout there.
This has got to be one of the moves of the day so far. Let's look at that again on a replay. Scully goes defensive but leaves a cart width, and that's all that James Martin needs to just stick it down the inside on the brakes. I cannot tell you how hard that is. A fantastic move there from James Martin.
I reckon Scully thought he had that one covered off beautifully, but now look at this.
He's being ganged up on by
Three-way
Tim
into
Hill.
the
This is not
chicane.
going to work.
Oh, goodness me. They've sorted themselves out, but that was heart in the mouth stuff there. It's still Scully ahead of Tim Hill now. So Tim Hill's got back past Mark Ridout, and he's going straight for it here. This is the challenge for 4th place. Tim Hill's going to have a look, is he? But Scully's already been bitten once in this corner last time round, and that was... who was that challenging? It was Townley. So Townley must have got past Luke Hornsby as well during that lap. Henry Jackson's now trying to buy into this as well in the 24. Andrew, it's all kicking off here, and we've still got over 90 seconds of this sprint to go.
And this is all crucial as well for where the drivers will form on the grid for the final. Meanwhile, the front two, Theodoru and Whitehouse, and Scully now side by side again with Tim Hill. Mike Townley battling with Henry Jackson. Henry Jackson not too happy with that. Steve Jennings in the background as well. Steve Jennings has not made his way through the field in this one like he has in the previous 2 races. But Stefan Scully defending hard here. He'll have no idea where Steve Jennings is, his championship rival. He's just focusing on making sure he retains his position. Defensive again into Wilkins. It's a pack of 5 now between Scully, Hill, Ridout, I think Hornsby and Jackson. Now where's Mike Townley gone? No, Mike Townley is still in the middle of that. So 45 seconds to go of this one. So
it's this one and another.
It's going to be close.
Yeah.
Theodoru leads. Whitehouse second. James Martin in a bit of a lonely 3rd place now by Clubman sprint standards. Up the inside goes Townley. Doesn't get the move done on Tim Hill. Once again, this has been a fantastic race from the Clubmans. Henry Jackson looking to get a run on Townley off the Bruno chicane. He's going to have to be brave down the inside, or maybe try something spectacular around the outside. Luke Hornsby's still there as well. Side by side are Hill and Townley again. Hill will have the inside line, and that's the good move. Henry Jackson up the inside. Is he going to try and go up the inside of Tim Hill as well? Hornsby's in there as well. And Well, no, he didn't quite make it stick. So Henry Jackson sticks behind Tim Hill for now. We are now on to the final lap, to the final chance for Clubman drivers to get their positions set for the final. Scully, I have to say, Howard, has done a fantastic defensive job to keep these drivers behind him.
He has, and behind him it's creating a form of chaos here because they're all getting booked. You saw it on the last time through, actually, that there was nothing that Townley could do. He was just in the battle with Hill, and he got bulked by Hill, who in turn got bulked by everyone in front. And that allowed Jackson through.
Still this battle for fourth. The leader is about to win, so Martin Theodorou is going to take victory. What a win that is for Martin Theodorou. David Whitehouse second, James Martin will be third, but who's going to be fourth? It's a drag race to the line. It's Scully. Stefan Scully holds on to fourth place by 48 thousandths of a second ahead of Mark Ridout. Henry Jackson is sixth, Mike Townley is seventh, Tim Hill eighth, but we know he has a penalty. Ninth place for Luke Hornsby, which will become eighth once Hill takes his penalty. William Top in 10th, James Taylor in 11th. 12th place for John Watkins, 13th for Stephen Jennings, 14th for Andrew Dawson, 15th Frankie Hedges, 16th for Simon Lloyd, 17th for Chris Powell, and 18th for Stuart Osborne. Once again, Howard, a cracking race from the Clubmans.
I've said it once, I'll say it again. Yesterday I fell in love with this place driving it. Today I'm falling in love with it commentating on it. Fantastic dogfights throughout the field. It's absolute pleasure to watch.
Right, one more of the 8-minute heats to go. It'll be the elites. We're going to take a short break here on comms. Stay with us here on the Alpha Live stream. It's Club 100 2018. Welcome back, everybody, to Shenington Kart Racing Club in Oxfordshire, just outside Banbury. We're getting on to our final 8-minute heat of the morning session. It is the elites, and here's your grid. Ed Barr starts on pole position. Joe Holmes alongside him on the front row. Dave Longman is third on the grid for this one, with Jay Elliott alongside him on the second row. Jonathan Lister and Rob Moore will go from row 3, in heat 3. Row 4 is Harry Neal and Rob Newman, who's just taken the win in heat 2. Adam Wright and Dan Truman will go from row 5. Row 6 is Ben Yarwood and current championship leader Steve Brown. They'll be looking to come through the pack in this one. Row 7 is Harrison Darville and Peter Harris. He's had a rough day so far. Row 8 is Steve Hicks. Steve's been relatively quiet so far today by his standards. Alongside him on that 8th row is former champion Ian Blake. Dan Healy and Chris Dixon will form up on row 9. And then we should have one more driver, which is Peter O'Connor, starting from 19th on the grid, all on his own on row 10.
And just as a reminder, we've already had 2 heats in this class today. Dan Healy took the win in the first heat, and then it was Rob Newman quite a short while ago. Quick as these heat races are, Rob Newman taking the win in sprint heat 2.
Just a quick weather watch. There are clouds gathering, and given the time of year it is, a thunderstorm could crop up out of nowhere. However, on the radar at the moment, nothing arriving from the southeast. The 2 systems, north and south of Oxfordshire, have both passed now. So after all of the weather forecasts, and it being a heat wave, then it being thunderstorms, then hail, then back to a heat wave and all the rest of it, we might be all right. We might get away from all the thunderstorms that are going on around the country. We wait and see.
Absolutely. Here, though, I think we're ready this
we're
time
ready to
round.
go.
Absolutely. So it's going to be Ed.
No,
no, we're not. Not at all. Fair enough. So then we'll go around again using the cut through for a slightly shorter rolling up lap here. Cut through takes you to the second part of the Bruno chicane, and then the push cart will pull off to driver's left and release the absolute force of nature that is the elite class of Club 100.
You just see there as well, we mentioned already, Alpha Live and the Streaming Awards, www.streamingawards.com/vote. Vote for Alpha Live, their production of the British Universities Karting Championship earlier in the year. Hello, Piers. Piers Priors watching from the Wilton Mill paddock, another one of the Alpha Live events on today, their monthly MSA club meeting. Hope you're doing well, Piers. Keep the results rolling in. But we should be good for a go here at Shenington for the final heat for the elites. Ed Bars and Joe Holmes on the front row of the grid, Dave Longman there, and Jay Elliott on row 2. Pusher cart pulls away, we'll have a green flag, and there we go. Away then for heat 3 in the elites. Good start for Ed Bars, he retains the lead from pole position. Jay Elliott's already popped up to 3rd place past Dave Longman. Lister and Moore going side by side for 5th place as through Pit Bend they go for the first time in this one. It is Ed Bars leading from Joe Holmes and Jay Elliott in 3rd.
Sorry, Andrew, I thought Holmes was going to have an immediate look for the lead there into the hairpin, but Bars was...
dearie
me!
I think that was Harrison Darville in the 16.
Yeah, and Dan Healy in the 5 was involved in that as well. Just too many karts trying to go into one at the back there. And I think, did they manage to keep it going?
They did somehow. And look at this through the middle of the pack once again. And Steve Brown trying to go around the outside of a couple of drivers there. That's brave. And he's got past the 18 and the 11. That's Adam Wright. Chris Dixon's now up the inside, taking the sensible choice of just holding it to the left-hand side. But Joe Holmes to the lead then, ahead of Ed Bars and Jay Elliott.
Yeah, the excitement in the mid-pack. I think we missed the change for the lead there, but it is Holmes ahead of Ed Bars, Jay Elliott, David Longman, Jonathan Lister, Rob Newman, Rob Moore, Ben Yarwood, Dan Truman and Steve Brown to round out the top 10. All sorts, not the cleanest first lap we've seen there from our elites, and someone went cross-countrying in the final corner on that lap. I think it might have been Yarwood, but I didn't quite catch who it was. We're now looking at, this is your battle for the lead, and Jay Elliott having to think about having to go at Ed Bars there, but Ed Bars goes defensive. Meanwhile, Rob Newman sends one up the inside of Jonathan Lister to take himself up to 4th place. Another lovely move there from Rob Newman, and he'll now look to try and get onto terms with the top 3. Lister, of course, will try and follow him onto the back of them. But he has David Longman for company, along with Rob Moore. Here we are with the top 3 again. Look how you could see the smoke coming off there, off of Joe Holmes as he was under braking. They're pushing themselves and the karts to the absolute limits here as they come through the Bruno chicane, nose to tail. Joe Holmes in the 1, Ed Bars in the number 9 and Jay Elliott in the 8, and then we look back here to the battle between Longman and Moore over 6th place. Rob Moore, will he have a challenge up the inside of Longman? No. Meanwhile, behind them, the likes of Yarwood, Truman and Steve Brown are having a fantastic battle to see who can be 8th. As Rob Newman is trying to get onto terms with the top 3, he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Fastest lap of the race and fastest lap of the weekend so far, surely a 51.689. Incredible pace being shown by Rob Newman at the moment. You can just see him there in the shot. Briefly you saw him in the orange helmet trying to get onto terms with these top 3, which is still Joe Holmes, Ed Bars and Jay Elliott. Fantastic scrapping going on here throughout the field at Shenington for round 4 of the Club 100 Elite Sprint Championship for 2018. Rob Moore in 6th has a look over his shoulder, and well he might. He's got pressure from David Longman and Steve Brown, and Steve Brown up the inside of David Longman. Beautiful move there for Steve Brown into Wilkins. Steve Brown really been on the move. I mentioned he was in the battle for 8th place. He dispensed with that, and now he's dispensed with Longman. So Steve Brown definitely on the move, our current points leader coming into today in the elite class.
He's been quick all day. It's not a surprise. We know how good he is. But then again, this is a new circuit to everybody. We've still got to deliver the goods. At the moment, though, the man delivering the goods at the front of the field is Joe Holmes. Ed Bars not letting him go, though. Jay Elliott's still there in 3rd, but Rob Newman still a holder of the fastest lap of the race. They are all getting in underneath the 52-second barrier now. So Newman 4th, Lister 5th, and 6th place, change for 6th place. So Brown is now up to 6th place. Longman's gone with him. Chris Dixon has had a really good race so far. He's up to 8th, and Rob Moore now down to 9th.
Absolutely, a lot of drivers on the move here. And we're only just into the second half of this one, so plenty still to happen. Rob Newman took the best part of half a second out of Jay Elliott on the last lap. 4.5 tenths to 5 tenths, as there's a challenge here of Chris Dixon on David Longman into the hairpin. He's going to try and get drive off the hairpin. Beautiful cutback there onto the back straight by Dixon, and he's got the job done into the Bruno chicane. Lovely move there, Andrew.
Well, that's about as clean as you can do it. Textbook move there from Chris Dixon. Got the overspeed off the Stratford corner, the hairpin, and just got the run alongside. There was nothing Longman could have done to shut that one down into the Bruno chicane. Change for 3rd. Rob Newman is through past Jay Elliott for 3rd place.
I said he was taking time out of them. He's managed to pick off 3rd place. What more can he do in the remaining 2.5 minutes of this race? And that's not to say that Jay Elliott won't come back at him. As meanwhile at the front, Ed Bars is really beginning to try every which way to get past Joe Holmes here. And that would allow the likes of Newman and Elliott to catch up if they start battling in earnest.
Now the question is, if these two start battling, that will offer the opportunity to Rob Newman to join them in that fight for the lead.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I just got distracted by
No,
some very frenetic racing through the chicane.
That's fine.
Towards the back of the field. Back with the leaders then. Holmes still ahead of Ed Bars, but Ed Bars is sticking with him. 2 minutes to go.
Jonathan Lister having a relatively quiet one for now by the standards of this class. He's 3.2 seconds behind Jay Elliott, but 1.5 seconds ahead of Steve Brown, who for the moment has charged through the field, has come to somewhat of a stall. But still plenty of time to go. This is the battle for the lead of the race, and it's pretty much become a 4-kart battle, Andrew. Although still Ed Bars and Joe Holmes the closest, your top 2. Bars has played this one tactically, I think, Andrew. He's paced himself, and if he's going to pounce, he wants to do it in these last 90 seconds. Joe Holmes takes a slightly tighter line into Wilkins. Half in defence, perhaps, as Ed Bar's really looking now for a way past. He's very strong in this first part of the lap, I think, Andrew. He's always looked like he might have half a chance towards the hairpin. As I think it's going to be this lap and one other.
Yeah, I think he's realised, Ed Bars has realised that Rob Newman is really on the charge. And he has caught them. He's caught them now. So, and we know that Rob Newman will go for the move. He's been in this position many times, not just so far this season as a baby prem, but in the BUKC as well.
Yeah, Ed Bars looks over his shoulder, and well he might.
But Joe Holmes still leading then. Ed Bars is now fully aware that Rob Newman is right up behind him. Holmes will go defensive again.
Oh, and that's Newman to have a go. My goodness, how far back was that from? And it didn't work out for him. And, you know, he might rue that because he's lost a bit of time there. And Jay Elliott is there with him. But that was how far back was that from Newman? That was impressive stuff. And we're on to the last lap. And you know what? That challenge from Newman may just have broken up the fight and the opportunity for Ed Bars here.
I think Newman got caught in two minds there. Oh, bit of a lock-up there from Ed Bars. He's really pushing hard as they come towards the Bruno chicane for the final time in this race. Past us in the commentary box, it is Holmes from Bars, Newman, Jay Elliott still there in fourth. Now Holmes will go defensive into Wilkins just so Ed Bars doesn't stick it down the inside. And if he can just get round this final corner, get a good run off Wilkins and round the final corner, the reigning champion is going to take another victory here in Club 100. Joe Holmes wins in Heat 3. Second place for Ed Bars. Third place for Rob Newman. Fourth place is Jay Elliott. And then the rest of them over the line. Fifth place for Jonathan Lister. Sixth place for Steve Brown. Seventh place for Chris Dixon. Eighth place for David Longman. Ninth for Ian Blake. 10th Peter O'Connor. From the back of the grid, I think, if my memory serves me correctly. That's a good drive from Peter. 11th for Dan Truman. 12th Steve Hicks. 13th Adam Wright. 14th Rob Moore. 15th is Harry Neal. 16th is Dan Healy. 17th is Peter Harris. 18th is Harrison Darville. And 19th is Ben Yarwood.
Well, I think that rounds out what has been a fantastic set of heat races, Andrew, in the Clubman and Elites class. I've been thoroughly entertained by these two classes, and they have definitely demonstrated why the two classes are famed for such a high standard of racing. It's been a pleasure to watch.
We're going to take another short break before the finals. It'll be the Clubman Final first. As I say, we'll take a short break here on comms, and we'll be back soon for more action here from Shenington for round 4 of the Club 100 2018 Sprints Championships. we're ready for our first final of the day then for round 4 of the Club 100 Sprint Championships for 2018. It is our Clubman Sprint class going first. Here is your grid then for the final. David Whitehouse will start from pole position, having procured 82 points from the heats. Mark Ridout joins him on the front row. Stephen Jennings, championship leader, starts on row 2. Alongside him is Martin Theodoru. Tim Hill starts from 5th on the grid with Luke Hornsby alongside him on the 3rd row. James Martin will start from row 4 alongside James Taylor. Row 5 will be William Topp and Andrew Dawson, who had a cracking run in Heat 1. Row 6 will be Simon Lloyd and Mike Townley. Row 7 is John Watkins, who ran strongly in Heat 1 but has had a bit of trouble since then. He starts from P13 alongside Chris Powell. Row 8 is Stuart Osborne and Henry Jackson, making his Clubman class debut here at Shenington today. They start from 15th and 16th respectively. And then it's row 9, Frankie Hedges and Stefan Scully, who starts from the back of the field, Howard.
Yeah. So this is the big one then, from the perspective of this round of the Clubman class. 25 points is what you score for winning one of the heats we were watching earlier. 150 points is what you get for winning one of these. So if it's possible to imagine, they're going to be battling for it even harder.
What?
I'm not quite sure that computes, but either way, whoever wins this one takes home a nice trophy and what could be a very, very valuable bag of championship points come the end of this season. Because it's a trophy final, the drivers get some warm-up laps just to check that they are happy with their kart before they go to rolling up, so that's why you'll see them going around at near racing speed. But I think that might have just been checkered flag thrown, so they may now start to go into formation.
Just to go through some things. Finals winners so far this year, James Taylor, who won at Clubman Park. It's actually not mentioned so far. It's James's first appearance in Club 100 since Clubman Park. So let's see what he can do in this one. Round 2 went to Stephen Jennings. That was at Wilton Mill a few months ago. And then round 3 went to Darrell Lowe, who's not here today at Shenington, so he took the win at Rye House. And Stephen Jennings starting from row 2. You never know, we could get a new winner here today if one of the drivers from the front of the grid is able to convert that good grid position into a final victory. But just to run down as well, here's the interesting thing, Howard. Mark Ridout, second on the grid at the moment, currently 11th in the championship. David Whitehouse, albeit he did miss Rye House, currently 19th in the championship with finals results of 9th and 3rd so far this year. So it's kind of as we thought at the start of the day. This new circuit for a lot of the drivers, it was all going to be about who could get up to speed with it quickest. So it has jumbled things up a little bit in terms of the form book.
Yep, absolutely. Those of you who missed it, first time for Club 100 back at Shenington for a good decade or so. So pretty much new territory to all of these drivers. And as we said, there's not a rental fleet here at Shenington. It's a club racing circuit, so not as many opportunities to come here and practice before today. Some of these drivers will have raced yesterday, perhaps, in the endurances or the quadrants. But for many of them, today has been their first day.
Very different conditions as well.
Completely different conditions as well, and that time to show it.
Just going to mention again as well, www.streamingawards.com/vote. Alpha Live are nominated for their work on the British Universities Karting Championship. Your support will be very valuable to us. You can go across and vote. There's a week to go on voting. Currently Alpha Live doing very well, but we need your support. We're very thankful for it. You can do as such. Right, ready for the Clubman Final then. Pusher Kart pulls away. Who's going to take round 4 here at Shenington? We're red, we're green and racing in the Clubman Final. Good start from David Whitehouse. Cracking start from Martin Theodorou, who shot straight through and is challenging for 3rd. And it looks like he's going to take it. Luke Hornsby's had a good start as well. But it's going to be Whitehouse from Ridout. And then it's going to be Theodorou. Stephen Jennings trying to come around the outside as well for 4th place, around the outside of Luke Hornsby, that is. So good start there, Howard, from the front row.
Yep, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, did I see Mike Townley there firing one up the inside of the hairpin and going up about 3 places at once there? I'm going to have to check that when they come through, but he's been a man on the move as well. James Taylor has managed to get past Tim Hill at the start of this one. So several drivers on the move, and up the inside goes Theodorou on Ridout into Wilkins. Really good first lap from Theodorou here, but it is going to be David Whitehouse who leads them across the line. Theodorou 2nd, Mark Ridout 3rd, and Ridout's already got back past. So now it's Ridout back up to 2nd.
And James Taylor is through and into 4th place. So the wildcard entry almost. He's only done 1 round so far, but we know how quick he is. Going past championship leader Stephen Jennings there, and this is all good news, Howard, for David Whitehouse, because whilst as Jennings runs very wide,
Dawson as well has got past Jennings as well, I think now, Andrew.
Whilst they all fight, David Whitehouse is scarpering down the road. He had almost a 2nd lead across start finish at the end of lap 1. Surely it's going to be more than that this now, as James Taylor's looking up the inside of Martin Theodorou for 3rd, and he's going to do it. So James Taylor up to 3rd, and Andrew Dawson's looking to follow him.
Absolutely, all change all the time. There's almost no point giving you the order, but for what it's worth, it's Whitehouse, Ridout, Taylor, Theodorou, Dawson, Jennings, Hornsby, Martin Powell and William Top rounding out the top 10.
The lead is 1.6 seconds. David Whitehouse has had an absolutely storming first 2 laps, but look at this battle for 2nd place. Oh, now Mark Ridout is, for me, pushing James Taylor there. That was a little bit naughty in my book. Andrew Dawson's in there. It's all kicking off again in the Clubman.
Dawson bolts Jennings, and that's allowed Hornsby to get alongside into the chicane.
And Taylor's through. Taylor is through and into 2nd place now. Now what can he do about closing down David Whitehouse? 8 minutes to go. Oh, this is just boiling up nicely now, Howard.
James Martin's on the move in the number 2. He's just got past Hornsby and now challenging Jennings. And now Hornsby, as you can see there, in his Union flag liveried helmet and suit.
Oh, goodness me. Tim Hill has just taken a huge curb. I hope the kart's okay, but that was in the battle over about 12th place, I think, with John Watkins. But there's your leader, David Whitehouse. The lead is 1.9. 1.9 after 3 laps with 7 minutes remaining in this one. There is the number 2 of James Martin. He's started to come through now and is fighting with championship leader Stephen Jennings. But Mark Ridout, for me, Howard, at this stage, looking like he's going to try and work with James Taylor to catch David Whitehouse.
Yeah, and I think he's aware now that if they don't work together, then the top of the top step of the podium isn't going to be open to them. And look at that lovely move by Martin there on Jennings up the inside. Jennings has to take to the grass. Jennings ran out of room and had to take to the grass there, and that's going to allow Hornsby and probably Chris Powell as well through there.
The lead holds steady on the first clear lap for James Taylor. That could be crucial. If David Whitehouse could keep this pace up, he could win for the first time in the Clubman Final. He took his first podium at Wilton Mill. Missed Rye Houses up the inside there. Was that Jonathan?
That was Watkins and William Top,
wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Watkins passed Top into the top 10 now. Stephen Jennings, want to know how expensive it is to do a bit of cross-countrying here? 6th down to 12th on that lap. As there's a penalty for James Martin in 6th. I'm going to guess that might be for pushing Jennings onto the grass, Andrew.
Could well be. He's now under attack from Luke Hornsby there and Chris Powell. We also saw, I think, Henry Jackson's got a penalty as well. Now let's have a look at the time. 1.871 is the gap between first and second. Now, yes, the pace is better for second and third, but at this rate, that's not going to come down enough in the remaining 5.5 minutes.
No, and I'm not sure if Taylor in second and Ridout in third are going to be allowed to work together to break away here, because Andrew Dawson is catching up to them to put pressure on them as well now.
He's just set the fastest lap of the race so far, 52.349 for the driver in the number 15. 5 minutes to go in the round 4 Clubman final here at Shenington. Look at Dawson. Here comes Dawson trying to get past Mark Ridout. He's going to have to go the long way round unless he cuts back to the inside. Yes, he does. What a incident.
Me.
And that looks to me, it's not the 33 because that's not the colours of Watkins. Someone off there, that looks like it was at the exit of the hairpin. But what a move, Howard, by Andrew Dawson for third place.
I think it might be Frankie Hedges.
Yes, it is. You're right. The number 13 in the blue suit, that is Frankie Hedges. Good call, Howard. So yellow flags out down at the hairpin. So that's one of the big opportunities to overtake. Currently nullified. 4.5 minutes to go in the Clubman final. Oh my goodness me. James Taylor last lap took a huge chunk of time out of David Whitehouse. The lead is down to 1.2 seconds.
And we've still got the best part of half this race to go. Remember, the trophy final slightly longer than the heats. So James Taylor on a charge here. We're looking at Martin Theodoro with James Martin breathing down the back of his neck in the battle over 5th place.
And look at that gap. James Taylor has turned it up to 11. Look at this.
New fastest lap.
Fastest lap. He's taking 7/10 of a second out of him. A 52.113 for James Taylor. Oh my goodness, David, you've got a job on now to keep hold of this, because James Taylor, winner of round 1, is absolutely flying here at Shenington.
Yeah. Absolutely rocket speed here from James Taylor. Has a look over his shoulder, but he doesn't need to worry about it because behind them, Dawson and Ridout are still having an incredible ding-dong over 3rd place.
3.5 minutes to go then. David Whitehouse starts to go defensive, but surely it's a matter of time before James Taylor overtakes. James is going to have to go round the outside. Can he get the overlap? Oh my goodness me, he nearly did it, but Whitehouse will squeeze him out.
I'm not sure if it was by accident or by design, but David Whitehouse actually there doing a perfect form of defending, getting the person to go out to the outside and forcing them to do so, not allowing him to sell the dummy there, and lives to fight another day. But now James Taylor is going to try and get a run into the hairpin. The incident we saw earlier at the hairpin has all been cleared up. Who's that off to? Are those the Kart testers? Okay, so the battle carries on into the hairpin. Whitehouse has the inside line. Taylor's going to try and get the cut back. Is it going to be on for him into the Bruno chicane? Side by side they come towards the chicane up the inside, and Taylor goes to the front.
James Taylor takes the lead at Shenington. A fantastic sequence of laps and corners now, and there's a little sign there to crack on, because they realise that Andy Dawson is still going very, very quickly. They've not got this first and second secured yet, but Whitehouse is fighting back. Whitehouse is fighting back now, and there is Dawson in the number 15. He's pulling away now from Mark Ridout. 2 minutes to go.
Absolutely superb stuff, this. Andrew Dawson still has Ridout for company. In fact, he still has everybody else for company, to be honest with you. The whole field, apart from those who have been involved in incidents and accidents, 10 seconds separating the main bulk of this field, so still really tightly packed.
Really, really tense stuff, this. There's the battle for 4th. Mark Ridout still leading it. Martin Theodore there in the blue suit and the white helmet in 5th. James Martin 6th. And Luke Hornsby having another good run here in Clubman's, up in 7th place. John Watkins pulling his way through as well. Chris Powell there in 9th. And this is all for crucial championship points, Howard. Now here's the thing. Taylor is through. What's his time? A 52.5. David Whitehouse has just done his fastest lap of the race, a 52.5 flat. So that's good. That's good. They need to keep that pace up. They're holding Andy Dawson at just over a second. They're in 3rd place. Hornsby goes defensive. Under attack from Watkins. Chris Powell's looking for a move up the inside, but can't get it done. So it's as you were into the Bruno chicane. 40 seconds to go. There'll be this lap plus one more for the Clubmans to decide round 4 for the 2018 Clubman Sprint Championship.
It's at this point that Whitehouse wants to
Up
stop.
the inside goes James Martin on Martin Theodoro. Luke Hornsby's going to try and get through as well. That's a good opportunistic move from Luke. Chris Powell's in there as well, trying to get past John Watkins, but great move that from James Martin down through Wilkins' corner.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Watkins and Powell tried to buy into it, but in the end they've just ended up having a battle in amongst themselves. We're on to the last lap, so it's no longer time to work together, boys. It's who's going to win this one.
And it's not over, because David Whitehouse, since losing the lead, has stayed with James Taylor. Now the opportunity will be down into Wilkins. If Whitehouse can get a good run through the Bruno chicane, James Taylor gets a good exit. Oh, it's going to need a huge move from David Whitehouse to win this race. But here we go into Wilkins for the last time. There's Dawson there in third, Ridout fourth, and the rest of them battling still over fifth place. Round the final corner, here come the leaders. James Taylor wins round 4 of the Club 100 Clubman Sprint Championship. It's his second win this year out of 2 appearances so far this year. David Whitehouse takes his best ever finish in the Club 100 sprints in second place, and Andy Dawson finishes on the podium in third. Mark Ridout is fourth. James Martin is fifth. Luke Hornsby sixth. Really good result that for Luke. Seventh place for John Watkins. Eighth, Martin Theodoru. Ninth, Chris Powell. 10th, Mike Townley. 11th for Stefan Scully. 12th for Henry Jackson. 13th for Tim Hill, 14th for Stuart Osborne. Now here's the crucial thing championship-wise, Howard. Stephen Jennings, 15th. That's a considerable number of points lost for him. William Toppin, 16th. Simon Lloyd, 17th, and Frankie Hedges, 18th. But James Taylor makes it 2 out of 2 for appearances for him in Club 100 this year. What a race, Howard. What a morning for the Clubmans here at Shenington.
Absolutely, mate. I think it's been an absolutely superb morning. There were maybe 1 or 2 incidents and accidents that the clerk of the course would rather not see in the second heat, but those rather minor things aside, it has been one heck of a ride with the Clubmans this morning. I've been thoroughly entertained, and fair play to all of that class. And well done to James Taylor. That was a well-earned victory for certain.
Well, we're going to take a short break here in the comms box, catch our breaths, because next up, it's the Elites Final. We're back here at Shenington for round 4 of the 2018 Club 100 Sprint Championships. We're getting ready for our final race of the morning and early afternoon session. It is our Elite Final. The grid then looks like this. This is based off the results from the first 3 heats. And an interesting grid, very mixed up is this one. Jay Elliott will start from pole position once the practice is done. Ed Barr's second. Joe Holmes and Steve Brown are on row 2. Rob Newman and Ian Blake on row 3. Dan Healy and Pete O'Connor on row 4. Dave Longman and Steve Hicks on row 5. Chris Dixon and Jonathan Lister row 6. Adam Wright and Daniel Truman row 7. Harry Neal and Rob Moore on row 8. Ben Yarwood and Harrison Darville row 9. And Peter Harris on row 10. So practice going on. This is just the drivers making sure they're happy with their karts before they start this elite final.
And even though we're talking about trophy finals, of course, don't for one moment think that this is going to be the conclusion to the action today here at Shenington, because we've got the lightweight and heavyweight classes still to go. So our recommendation, depending, it's weather dependent,
yes,
where you are in the UK, but my personal recommendation is you get the Alpha Live stream on some portable device, take it out into your garden, find a reclining seat, have a beverage of your choice, cool, chill, and sit back and enjoy the action. Unless there's a thunderstorm, in which case stay indoors and still enjoy the stream. All of my serving suggestions for how you enjoy your afternoon involve watching this stream. That's the basic point I'm trying to get across here.
Very well put. Whilst
I wondered whether you were going to endorse that or think I was mad.
no, I'm just going to check what the weather's doing. I think we're going to be all right, you know. I'm not seeing any weather systems coming in the southeast of the country. I'll probably be proven wrong by about 2 o'clock, but at the moment the weather staying stable, dry, a little bit cloudy, but not too hot. I'd say this is perfect conditions right now. Howard, I don't know if you'd agree with me.
It's a little bit humid here in the comms box, but it's
the comms van.
The comms van. No, I'd agree. It's pretty much perfect.
Oh dear!
Oh.
Someone has binned the pusher cart. I bet it was Alex Foley. Sorry, mate. The grid now forming up for the elite final, round 4, Club 100 2018, live here from Shenington Kart Racing Club, just outside Banbury. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting us. This is the second of 6 rounds that we will cover this season. Now the test is, I've got to remember which one the next one is. Booker Reborn?
We'll get back to you on that.
We'll get back to it. But the grid forming up then for the start of this one. We'll just keep an eye on the pusher cart. We're going to go around again.
Going to give a shout out once again. If you're enjoying this Alpha Live production stream, you should know that Alpha Live currently a nominee for the Global Streaming Awards for 2018 for the work that they've done on the British University's Karting Championship. So if you think what Alpha Live do is worth some recognition, and I think Andrew and I, well, I know Andrew and I certainly do. We've had an absolute, we always have, an absolute ball working with these guys. It's a pleasure to work with them. So head over to the Global Streaming Awards website and give a vote for the Alpha Live boys, because they do superb work.
Let's just run through the top, or as many of the top 10 as we can. Elliott from Bars, your first row. Holmes and Brown fighting for the championship on row 2. Newman and Blake, row 3. Healy, O'Connor, row 4. Longman, Hicks, row 5. Here we go then. Elite final time at Shenington. And we're green, we're racing here for round 4. Club 100 2018, straight into the lead goes Elliott. Barr's trying to follow him through. Holmes trying to go around the outside, trying to take second place. And I think he's going to take second place. What a move that was by the reigning champion, Joe Holmes, from 4th on the grid up to 2nd. Side by side, 3 wide. Newman's on the outside, always going to get squeezed out there. Steve Brown's going to gain a couple of positions there. So, and Peter O'Connor, big bump there for Ed Barrs. and a bit slow, and he clouted the curb slash small wall on the inside of the Bruno chicane. So a little bit scrappy start there, Howard, but everyone's still in play.
Yeah, I actually thought Ed Bars, from the long shot of the start, I thought he was having a decent start, but just on being on the outside of turn one allowed Holmes to get a run on him.
And change for the lead. No, Elliott is that far ahead.
Yeah, Elliott was far over to the standard racing line, whereas Holmes was defending for dear life against Steve Brown, and there's a yellow there in the chicane.
Steve, number 14. Number 14 is out. That is Dan Truman.
And David Longman has yet to cross the line as well, so dramas for those two on the first lap.
Down the inside of Ed Bars goes Rob Newman, and he's going to get the move done. That's fourth place then for the leading newcomer.
Your top three.
Nicknamed the Baby Brems, even though it's now Elites, but never mind.
Indeed. You just saw there Jay Elliott, Joe Holmes and Steve Brown. That's your battle at the front.
8.5 minutes of this one to go. 21 there. Steve Hicks. It's the first time we talked about Steve Hicks today. He's had a very solid first 3 heats, just giving him a decent grid position. Can he convert it into good points here at Shenington? And there's a change for second. Crucial change for second as well, Howard, as Brown is now ahead of Holmes, and Ian Blake's getting stuck in there as well, the former champion. He's gone through as well.
Meanwhile, Jay Elliott's just set the fastest lap of the race, Andrew, a 52.2 dead.
Oh,
look
damn
at this,
it,
Holmes tries on
Contact.
Blake, and it's a robust move there, but he does look to have got the job done. Meanwhile, Newman's challenging Ed Bars, and you've got Steve Hicks, as you say, Andrew, in there as well.
Now let's have a little look at this again. This was down the Stratford straight into the hairpin. And, well, that's
you know, the space was there for Holmes on the inside.
Yeah, but he kind of comes across left and into Blake there. So I'm going to call that one a racing incident.
Yeah, I agree. We're back, though, with the live action here. This is O'Connor under pressure from Healy, which means there's been some change there. Yes, it is, and it was Hicks getting past them in the early part of that lap. As Rob Newman has got past Bars, is that?
Yes, he has
now,
again.
And Holmes has
slotted in. Steve Hicks trying to go round the outside.
Yep, Hicks now alongside Bars, as you can see. Oh, and they part ways there before the hairpin.
Jonathan List is coming forward as well. You can see him there in the blue, white, yellow, green helmet, almost a bit Giancarlo Fisichella-like. Contact warning for the number 19 of Rob Newman.
I have to say, though, Elliott doing everything he needs to, Andrew. He just
Edbar's trying to cut across.
Yeah, another fastest lap of the race for the leader on the last time through. He's nearly dipped below the 52-second mark, as pretty much everyone takes his offensive line into Wilkins.
Well, what a race this would be if Jay Elliott can see it out. 1.6 seconds is the gap. Ian Blake, and side by side there, Holmes and Bars.
Yeah.
Through Cafe Corner. Steve Hicks is going to try and follow through as well in the 21. And go round the outside through Pitts Bend. Steve Hicks has finally come to the fore here. Holmes goes defensive. Oh, Ed Bars around the outside. There's a bit of contact pod to pod there. I don't think Holmes knew he was there. Hicks is trying to get through as well. Bars is now on the outside as they go into the Bruno chicane. Hicks holds him off very well. Peter O'Connor's in there as well, in the kind of red and grey suit.
Yep.
Bars and look, poor Steve Hicks, he doesn't know where to look. He's got carts to his left, he's got carts to his right.
Oh, and up the inside of Lister there goes Dan Healy as well. That's just behind Peter O'Connor. That's the battle over 9th place.
And Newman through as well. Newman's got past Ian Blake, or they were side by side at least, through turn 1. So Jay Elliott leads. Steve Brown second. Third place, Rob Newman. Fourth, Ian Blake. Reigning champion Joe Holmes in fifth. Really under a lot of pressure. Oh, contact! Little bit of contact there between Steve Hicks and Joe Holmes. Joe Holmes did very, very well to keep hold of that. Ed Bars is trying to get through as well. Steve Hicks is through, and Ed Bars is through. So the reigning champion goes down 2 positions. This is a really, really tough final here for Joe Holmes.
Yeah, Bars read that situation brilliantly, though. Got the cut back off the hairpin, had such good drive that he was able to follow Hicks through. Hicks gives a gesture of let's work together. I don't know how many people are going to pay attention at this point. You know what's happening as well, though? We've got to keep an eye on Steve Brown, because he's now in clear air. Actually, he's dropped a 10th to Jay Elliott on that lap. The Newman past Blake confirmed on timing now. Steve Hicks and Ed Bars past Joe Holmes, as we said. So we're into the last 4.5 minutes of this sprint race, round 4 of the elite class for Club 100 in 2018. Jay Elliott is doing everything he needs to do, continuing to set low 52 seconds, very impressive pace. 1.7 seconds to the good at the head of this one. Steve Brown second, Rob Newman, our rookie in this class for this year, running in third.
You've got to think that Rob Newman and Ian Blake will work together, but to be honest, every time I say that, there seems to be an overtaking manoeuvre, so we'll wait on that. But the tactics-wise, best thing to do here is for Newman and Blake to work together to try and close down Steve Brown, and they're doing that.
Yeah.
They've just taken a good amount of time there. I think that was about 3 or 4 tenths out of Steve Brown. 3 minutes 44 to go. And yes, look at the times. They're in the 51s. Elliott and Brown are in the 52s. So if they keep doing that, it's going to be tight, but they could close in this gap to Steve Brown.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on the inside of Peter Harris. That was
Dan
Healy.
Yeah.
Chris Dixon's got through as well. Great move that by Chris Dixon. Whilst Healy and Peter Harris.
Yeah, Peter Harris clearly slightly frustrated, wasn't he? He wants them to work together, but they're just not playing ball for him at the moment in that mid-pack. Rob Newman and Ian Blake, as you say, Andrew, setting the pace. They're the first drivers to dip below the 52-second mark in this race.
And is that a new fastest lap of the day as well, a 51.7? Goodness me! Rob Newman has just put in a 51.675. He's just taken 6/10 of a second out of Steve Brown. That is remarkable pace.
Yeah, and Steve Brown just had a quick look on over his shoulder as he came onto the Stratford Straight. Yeah, he may well do that. Because, yeah, visually you can see they're right on his tail now. Look at Rob Newman ducking his head. Shrimping, that's often called in karting, to try and get as much aero advantage as he can to get onto the back of Steve Brown here.
Now the interesting thing at this stage, Howard, will Brown work with them, or will Newman just try and go through? He will try and go through. It's Rob Newman, of course he's going to do that, and he's up and into second place.
With all due respect to Steve Brown, I'm not sure he's had the pace over the last few laps to work with them, as Ian Blake's going to challenge him. I say that, you're never going to say that Steve Brown's slow. And up the inside there of turn 2, cheeky little opportunistic move from Blake, and he's got the job done.
Okay then, we've got 2 minutes to go, which I reckon is going to be 3 laps. Current pace, ultimate pace, the difference is 0.4 of a second. So at the moment, that's not enough for Rob Newman to close Jay Elliott down.
Yeah, we've barely seen him, haven't we? He's been doing such a superb job at the head of this field, as he's now 2.3 seconds down the road. But I have to say, based on what we've seen so far, if there's one man who can close the gap, it's Rob Newman. As we're looking at Stephen Hicks, looking this way and that for where Ed Bars is. He knows he's there, but not quite where. As you were out of Wilkins, this is the battle over 5th place.
Yeah, and they're a good chunk. Actually, no, they're not that far behind. Steve Brown now in 4th place, but they're well clear of Peter O'Connor, so they know they're fighting over 5th place now. The gap, 2.1 seconds between Elliott and Newman, 1st and 2nd. So Rob Newman, I think when he had the pace or the help from Ian Blake, that's when they were hitting into the mid-51s. And now there's a bit of a gap between Newman and Blake. They're not able to recapture that speed.
This is the
48 seconds to go.
Jay, 7th.
Sorry, Howard.
Sorry, mate. Peter O'Connor defending from Joe Holmes at the moment. But yeah, we need to have a look at the front here as we come into the closing stages, because Jay Elliott, we think he's doing enough. We're going to have to wait and see. Joe Holmes has a look at O'Connor. Yeah, he is going to let him back through. I
thought that was all right.
I think he could have just got away with that one, to be honest. There was a slight tag on the right rear here. And I say, he's almost left himself open to attack from Chris Dixon there.
On to the last lap then. A lot of time taken out of Elliott on that last one, 0.6 of a second. But I think Rob Newman's going to run out of time here. This would be a great win for Jay Elliott. He's been so consistent throughout today. That's how he got the pole position. And then in the final, he's absolutely turned it on. Out of the Bruno chicane, down the hanger straight, through hanger corner. He knows he's got this. He knows he's got this. He's just got to get through Wilkins for the last time, and then the final corner. Here he comes out of the final corner. Jay Elliott is going to win round 4 of the Elite Sprint in Club 100 2018. What a victory for Jay Elliott. Rob Newman is going to come home in second. Ian Blake is third. Look how happy he is. His first win this season. Ian Blake is third. Steve Brown is fourth, but crucially, we'll get onto it in a minute. Fifth place Ed Bars, fifth place Steve Hicks, sixth place Ed Bars, seventh place Peter O'Connor, eighth place Joe Holmes. Let's have a look at this celebration again. This is one of the best celebrations I've seen in Club 100 in a long time. That is the full, yeah buddy, we've got a big pot to go home with today. Jay Elliott takes round 4, 2018 Club 100 Elite Sprints.
Where'd you learn to do that? I reckon if I even attempted that, I'd stall the cart immediately. There we go. Fantastic stuff from Jay Elliott. Rob Newman and Ian Blake worthy of the podium after that one.
Let's just run through the final order then. Eighth place, as we say, was Joe Holmes. So that's a good points gain for Steve Brown. Ninth place is Chris Dixon. 10th place Dan Healy. 11th Peter Harris. 12th place Rob Moore. 13th place Jonathan Lister. 14th Ben Yarwood. 15th was Harrison Darville. 16th Adam Wright. 17th Harry Neal. 18th Dave Longman. And 19th was Daniel Truman. Well, that wraps up the action for the Elites and the Clubmans. What a morning we've had here at Shenington for round 4 of the Club 100 Sprints Championships on a beautiful Sunday here in Oxfordshire. Howard, if you can, sum up the morning for me.
It's just been superb, hasn't it? Nose to tail action. I'm going to put a personal plea in now. Obviously, my voice isn't the only one that counts, but please, Club 100, can we come back here?
Yes.
I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it here at Shenington. Yes, the weather's nice today, but yesterday in the wet.
I even loved it in the wet.
We
and
loved it
normally
in the
I
wet.
hate the wet.
I know. It was absolutely fantastic. So please, big thumbs up from us too for what it's worth. And hopefully you, the viewers, have been really enjoying the action from this circuit and agree with us that it would be very nice to return here. But yeah, nose to tail throughout. We've seen fantastic drives from several people, and it's been very interesting from a championship perspective as well. I think particularly in the Clubmans, Stephen Jennings, it has really mixed things up. Drop scores do come into play at the end of this year, but this could, as well as being a fantastic day of racing, be a round that we look at back on as a real key part of the championship.
Absolutely. So that's it then for the Elites and Clubmans for round 4 of the Club 100 Sprints Championships for 2018. I do hope you've enjoyed this morning's stream. Do come back later this afternoon for the lightweights and the heavyweights. We'll be back for that. So get your reminders set for the second stream later this afternoon. This has been Double Dash Motorsport Media on the commentary forums. Do like us on Facebook. Just search Double Dash Motorsport Media. And this has been an Alpha Live production for Club 100 Limited. We will see you later on for the lightweights and the heavyweights.